And so that was going on behind the scenes, and then I won. And so what you think is like a really good thing, you're like, oh my God, you won the race, that's amazing. To me, it was like, oh, that confirms that I need to be doing this stuff. Like I need to keep restricting and I need to keep being skinny because I won the race. So rather than it being positive, like validation, it was almost this negative affirmation that, yeah, Shannon, you need to be 50 kilos in order to win bike races, which was way smaller than I should have been.
Welcome back to the Adventure Reignition Podcast. Today I am with Shannon Malseed. She's an ex-pro cyclist. Now she's performance mindset coach for athletes and high performers. And she guides them through inner struggles, self-doubt, and fear of failure, and pressure to perform, all topics we're going to talk, and I'm looking forward to talk about today, so that they can overcome these blocks and unlock their true potential. Shannon, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Blaise.
I'm super excited about this because we just talked briefly before to record about those topics about self-doubt, failure, pressure to perform, and your background is very interesting because I'm seeing on my end a lot of athletes coming out with talking transparently about depression, about post-Olympic depression. I've seen a cyclist, Bradley Wiggins, talking about drug addiction after most of the time successful careers. And I want to dive into yours first. So for the audience who doesn't know you, can you give me the key elements of your life that people need to know to understand who you are and what you do today?
Like we got all day. I feel like this is always such a big question. But yeah, I've been an athlete my whole life. So from the age of like 8 years old, I was swimming competitively, like in squad training. And then I did that until I was about 15, and I transitioned to triathlon, which is where the cycling came in. I figured out that I was actually really good on a bike, and that was my strength. So after triathlon, after a few years of that, I decided I wanted to transition into cycling full time. So I kind of took that route, and when I was 18, I started being on the bike solely on the bike. And instantly it was like my dream to be a professional. I think my whole life, from that really young age of 8, I was like, I want to be an Olympian. You know, I used to watch the Olympics, swimming and all of that. And it was just my goal to be the best. Like I just was kind of had this early obsession with being the best. And that was a blessing and a curse. The curse kind of comes later on in the career. But yeah, it was a blessing because it helped me be really driven, push myself. I learned so much about what we can do with our bodies and achieve with our minds as well. And in 2018 was my first year as a pro cyclist. That year I won the national championships early in the year, like in January for Australia. And that was an amazing start to the year, but it also put this huge amount of pressure on me because all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, I won the nationals. That's like a dream come true. And now I just have to keep performing. So what was my first year as a professional athlete was also like the most pressure in my whole career because I was wearing the national jersey the whole year. I had so many people expecting me to perform really well when I went to Europe, but that wasn't to be. So I kind of got burnt out. And my career from there is pretty like, I mean, I won a few smaller races, did well in a few smaller races, but like it's nothing to be like I didn't go to the Olympics. I didn't achieve my dream of becoming a world champion. I kind of just was like really in those early stages of being a professional athlete before I realized this is not what I want to do anymore. It was making me miserable. So I'm sure we'll go into more about that kind of journey, but that's like a nutshell of how my career played out, and I retired in the end of 2020. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I actually want to dive also a bit deeper into your cycling career. So if we go back to that time where you are professional and you start to perform, what is going on behind the curtains that nobody sees that you are experiencing?
Yeah. So a lot is going on behind the scenes. The biggest thing for me, you know, when I won nationals was that I was heavily restricting my eating. So I had pretty much an eating disorder, not diagnosed, but looking back, it was like an obsession that was way beyond any healthy level of like controlling what I eat. And I got down to like my skinniest ever in my adult life, and then I won. So I was this kind of miserable shell of a human at home because I was hungry all the time. It kind of makes you go crazy, right? When you're that obsessed with food, it's all you think about. I would wake up in the morning and weigh myself, and if I didn't weigh less than yesterday, every single morning, every single day, if I didn't weigh less, I would really beat myself up. I would be super unhappy and I would restrict even more that day. So it controlled my whole life. It was literally from the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep, all I was thinking about was what I could eat or couldn't eat. I remember one time grabbing an apple out of the fridge and eating it, and then feeling like I shouldn't have eaten that. Like, it's an apple. You're going to be fine. But that was kind of how obsessed I was with calories and all of that sort of thing. And so that was going on behind the scenes, and then I won. And so what you think is like a really good thing, you're like, oh my God, you won the race. That's amazing. To me, it was like, oh, that confirms that I need to be doing this stuff. Like, I need to keep restricting and I need to keep being skinny because I won the race. So rather than it being positive, like validation, it was almost this negative affirmation that, yeah, Shannon, you need to be 50 kilos in order to win bike races, which was way smaller than I should have been. Yeah, and looking back, like I was super skinny, unhealthy level of skinny, and yeah, so that was going on behind the scenes. And when I went over to Europe that year, I was really highly strung. Like, my teammates who met me for the first time said that, you know, later on when we sort of opened up and we became like closer together, they said, when I first met you, I didn't really like you because you were so serious. Like, you never had any fun. You were just like, there was no room for silliness, or which I am. Like, I'm a fun and silly person when you get to know me, but that was all shut down because I had this obsession with being skinny, and that really controlled my whole life. So that was going on behind the scenes when I started performing. And yeah, I think that was almost the reason why my career was so short. You know, it was almost like the beginning of the end. Yeah.
I have a question about this because I've read a post about online that you shared. You said you were constantly thinking you were too fat, which is basically what you
Yeah.
explain here. But
Mm-hmm.
listening to your story, I'm wondering if there were like other people knowing what you were going through, or it was just like only you with yourself, um, being performance on the outside and being that kind of like successful start of your career, but nobody knew, or was it something you openly shared with other people that could have like maybe sparked something different?
Yeah, I would say nobody knew. Nobody knew that I was suffering, except for my partner at the time who lived with me. You know, there was nights where I was crying on the lounge room floor, just like, I'm so hungry, I'm so hungry. And he was like, eat something. And I was like, no, I can't. I've like reached my calorie count for the day. And so I would just force myself to go to sleep. And yeah, so I would say he knew. I remember one of like my best friends coming to the nationals. She was also competing, and she came to my house, and she hadn't seen me in a while. And so seeing me for the first time, she was like, I think she was really cautious of what she said, but she said it in a way that actually kind of woke me up a little bit. She was like, are you okay? Because you look quite small. Like, you look like you've lost quite a bit of weight. And she was really gentle in the way that she came forward and asked me that. And I think that helped me take a step back and go, oh, okay, maybe this is not what I need to do. But other than her, I think the people around me actually, it's so hard to say this, but they encouraged it. So there was a lot of people who would see you on the bike and they would be like, whoa, you're looking so lean. Like, you're going to do amazing at nationals. You look great. You look awesome. Like, and so a lot of these men who have already got a really bad relationship with food, like their fellow cyclists who were already probably had their own kind of struggles with body image and food. And the culture is a problem, to say the least. And so it was, apart from my really good friend, it was kind of, people were telling me that it was a good thing rather than saying like, hey, Shannon, are you okay? Like, it looks like you might be pushing things a little too far. And so I'm glad that she did. And after that, my coach also noticed that things were becoming to the level of like, I started to have depression and didn't really want to do anything, didn't really want to train, but I was still punishing myself with the food stuff. And he kind of had an intervention. He was like, right, we're not doing this anymore. You're going on a Project Energizer Bunny nutrition plan. And so he kind of, even though he wasn't a nutritionist, he had quite a lot of knowledge. So he kind of made me this plan that was like, you are going to eat more, and carbs are your friend, and carbs give you energy. And so just those little mindset shifts started to come in, and that it started to be my permission slip to stop punishing my body and start rebuilding.
Quick break from the podcast. I really hope you have as much fun as I do. First, thank you for being here. And if you enjoy it, please give it a follow and share this with a friend, because it really helps a lot. Now, if you are a multi-passionate creator, an adventurer, or a visionary that feel called to express themselves fully, I'm opening few spots for my brand new one-on-one coaching that helps you build a brand that feel like you and attract aligned opportunities without copying trends, faking it, or just waiting for clarity to arrive. So whether you are still figuring out your voice or want to have more confidence expressing your story, we will co-create your personal brand and content with a sustainable rhythm that you can actually follow. Spots are limited, so follow me on Instagram and DM me POD to see if this is a great fit. All right, back to the podcast.
Yeah, I'm asking that because I think there's always, I mean, not always, but often a very big difference between the external world, what they see, and what we live inside. And it was the case for you as an athlete.
Yeah.
I see here all the time when it's about also career. You can have somebody who has like a great career, a great job, a house, great family, but from the inside they're almost dead.
Yeah.
And all the environment is telling you that, oh, your life is so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
It's you shouldn't risk it, or those kind of things that people say because they don't understand or know what's going on inside.
Mm-hmm.
And my next question is, how do you think the external environments you were in were impacting your inner world at the time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the external environment played a really big part in the first year as a pro. I didn't have the best in my team. So the first professional team that I was on, the only professional team that I was on in my career, there was a lot of pressure external pressure to perform, and it was my first year in the sport, and I think they just expected me to be performing better when I went to Europe. So I shared a few times that I was really struggling mentally and emotionally, and I actually got told by my director that there was nothing wrong with me. I just had a bad attitude. And so there's, again, the culture of the sport is like, be grateful for what you have and get on with it. Like, just push through, push on. Cycling is hard. We don't want to hear you whinging. Like, just get on with it. Get back on your bike and do better. And it was a really big shock because I'd never been away from home for that long. I was struggling, missing my family. I was struggling with the mental load of traveling, of all these new cultures, being really tired all the time, trying to heal my relationship with my body and food at the same time, and just not really having a supportive environment to just pull you aside and say, hey, I get it. I get that you're going through it. It's going to be okay. I've got you. I've got your back. I believe in you. There wasn't really that back there. So I think a big part of the reason why I do what I do now is because I want to create the space for athletes that I never had back then. Just someone to actually listen to your inner world. Because I've always been someone who shares, right? I don't really hide how I feel. But the cycling world was another environment in my life that sort of said, we don't really care how you feel. We just want you to be a great athlete. And so, yeah, you can imagine that kind of, it shuts you down as a person. And you're not, like, we're not robots, you know, we're much more than just an athlete. So, yeah, I think I struggled a lot with that kind of environment around me.
I have a question about the upbringings, because you're not the only one who experienced that pressure to perform when you reach a certain level.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, because it's a question I ask myself, for me as well sometimes, is where do you think it comes from, this strong desire to perform and then finally, like, almost trap yourself into a box that feels impossible to get out?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And honestly, I don't know if I'm out of that box fully yet. But I will try and answer the best that I can. I think a big part of it is being in sport from a really young age. While I think that is a huge gift to myself and so many, it can also, you know, in those early stages of your life, 0 to 7 years old, you're really mapping out your neural network. So you're learning things rapidly. And the way that we learn, kind of different to the way that we learn academically, the way that we learn how to exist in the world is by experiencing something and then making meaning of it. So you make it mean something about yourself, especially when you're younger, because you don't have context that, you know, your coach yelling at you to go harder might be because she was stuck in traffic or she's pissed off about something that happened earlier in the day. You don't have context. So you just think, okay, that must mean that I'm not good enough. So I just have to be better so that my coach is happy. And then you also have maybe some reinforcement that says like, when I perform well, people are really happy about my performance and they give me praise and they give me love. So I think that's where I kind of grew up in this environment that said, the better you perform, the more love you receive. And as humans, we all want acceptance and love. We all want to fit in. We all want to be part of a tribe and we want to be loved. And even if that means abandoning your true self in order to be loved, we will do it. That's why we people please. That's why we wear a facade, because we want to show up to others in the way that we think they expect us to be, or we think we need to be in order to be loved. So I think in my early years of development as a human, I made a story in my head, or I made meaning that said, if I'm the best, I'll be loved. And so that's kind of where my obsession with being the best came in. And it's nobody's fault, you know, it's nobody's fault. That's kind of the story that I wrote in my head. And so it got reinforced throughout my life being in sport. People would praise me when I did well. People would be disappointed when I didn't. And yeah, I think I'm still somewhat trying to heal that story as well now as an adult.
Yeah, that's very powerful. I have a couple of questions about healing a bit later on. But first, I have a question that came in my mind about pushing limits. You know, I think as an athlete, of course, that's something you probably heard 1,000 times. And I think more and more in the society, there's also a message of pushing limits, whether it's in your work, as an entrepreneur, as a creator, as an athlete, or also just for fun. And I'm guilty of that, because for me, adventure is a way of pushing my limits, because in the opposite, I believe also that comfort is a silent enemy. Maybe enemy is too hard of a word, but I think it creates that other kind of golden trap. And I love to push myself, but also sometimes I'm wondering if I'm not just like trying to prove myself anything different to perform and I'm wondering if I'm not in that performance loop again. What do you think? What parallels do you see between actually what you lived, the people you coach, and also like creators and entrepreneurs that they do based on that idea of pushing limits?
I think it really just depends on your intention going into whatever activity that you're doing, right? Like, and it's about checking in with yourself. My old coach used to call it check up from the neck up. So like check in with how you're feeling, check in with your thoughts, check in with where is my energy coming from today? Am I showing up because I want to prove to my parents that I'm good enough, or I want to prove to my partner something about me, or I want to prove to the world, like, am I coming from that place today? And if the answer is yes, like I really want to prove myself today, that's fine. We can rewire it in that moment. We can spend some time just connecting with yourself. We can talk about how to do this. And then you can still do the thing, but it's about recentering, recalibrating, coming back to your true self, and then taking the action. So the thing is, you can still push yourself. You can still push yourself to your limit, but it's coming from this different place, and you'll have a whole different experience, and you'll have like a whole different kind of pattern created in your mind as well, or in your brain. Sorry.
I love this because actually I have a story that I share online that was exactly that. So I think it was 2 years ago, 2023, I went to a bikepacking trip around Switzerland. I wanted to visit my own country and go through the 26 regions of Switzerland. It's a pretty small country compared to where you're from in Australia. But it was still an adventure. And I remember that I always do those kind of adventure with a mindset of curiosity and wanting to reconnect to myself. But for this, the first couple of days, for some reason I still ignore today, my mindset shifted to, I need to go through those 26 regions. Absolutely. I need to make this happen. So for the first 3 days, the fun was totally out of the picture. And because I was in my mindset trying to perform, to make it happen at all costs, there was no feeling of adventure, no curiosity, no fun. And it's only because I met another bikepacker around 3 days after the beginning that told me it doesn't matter. It's just about visiting the country, seeing the countryside, meeting people. And even if you don't achieve the goal, that's fine. It's still the adventure. And that's only at this moment that I kind of like reconnected to that spirit of enjoying the journey, literally. And from there, it was fun. It wasn't easy, but it was fun. It was amazing. I met so many great people. I have so many great memories. But I was caught up in that performance mindset. And why do you think that when our minds are in performance, why do you think we forget the fun? Because you said it for yourself, and I explained that as well. Why do we switch our minds to performance and become those robots that are not fun anymore?
Yeah, great question. And there's probably more than one answer, but where I'm going right now is that we have somewhere along the line, we have attached our self-worth and our happiness and our self-love and our self-respect to the result. And when we're attached to the result, we have this kind of equation in our minds that says, if I don't achieve X result, then my self-worth is like plummeted. I'm not good enough. I'm useless, or I'm worthless. And so your obsession with the result and the pressure to perform takes the joy away, because you're so scared of not getting there. You're so scared that you might fail. So you push harder, you try to control more, you start running on this treadmill that's like a negative feedback loop that says, I'm scared of failing, so I'm going to try harder. But even trying harder doesn't guarantee me success. So that fear of failure goes nowhere. So then I just try harder. And then I'm in this loop that I can't escape from until I have a pattern interrupt like what you had, where this guy was like, hey, Blaze, zoom out. It's not about the fucking result, man. Like, we're here to ride our bike around a beautiful country, smell the roses, feel the wind in your hair. Like, what else is there other than enjoying this present moment, enjoying it, being in the journey? And the answer is there really is nothing else apart from our mind-made like problems and stresses and limiting beliefs that says, if I don't achieve X, Y, Z, then I'm not good enough. It's not actually true, but your subconscious believes it to be true. So that's kind of where I said before, if we're coming from that place, it's a whole different experience versus when we're coming from a place of like freedom to express our true self into the world. Then we're having a totally different experience. We might be doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, that's wow. That's powerful. When you were explaining this, I had a couple of thoughts about my own childhood.
Yeah.
And I can see that pattern a bit playing out, because when I was a child, I played football. Like that was my big passion at the time. And the relationship I had with my dad was a bit. He was an entrepreneur, so he was working a lot, and I didn't see him much. And he wasn't present all the time, but sometimes he would come to see the game, and I knew that if I would perform well, then he would see it, and then he would tell me that. It was kind of like a way to show love, in some way. So I think it comes a bit from there.
Yeah.
And I think when he passed out, when he died, sorry, he kind of like had this external pattern interrupt about not living maybe to please him or anybody else, but starting to live my own life and please myself first. That's what played out after this, when I embraced adventure, travel, and just like following my curiosity. And you said a very powerful word, is you said pattern interrupt. And in those two cases I'm describing here, I think it comes from the outside. But how can we have maybe this pattern interrupt that comes from how can we create it ourselves so that we don't need like somebody else to tell us or something or the world to crashing up, or how can we have these moments of, okay, I'm realizing something is wrong. I'm not sure you have the answer, but that's the question I'm having for myself at the moment.
Yeah, I think to create it in yourself, that pattern interrupt, you need a high level of awareness of what is playing out, the pattern that has taken a hold of you. So, for example, if you're experiencing fear of failure or self-doubt, you need to know that you're experiencing that. You need to know that, like, you know, for example, when you're in your office and you're tapping away at the keyboard, there's a story playing out in the background that says, like, I'm posting this reel, or I'm creating this caption because I want to make sure that I'm good enough. I want the world to accept me. And you might not be aware that that's playing out, right? So self-awareness is the first step. It's always the first step if we want to heal and reprogram our subconscious. So that's definitely the first step. And then when you notice it, it's about pausing, because the second thing that people do is they might be aware, but they're like, okay, just like, don't worry about it. Like, go away self-doubt, go away fear of failure, because they're on that treadmill. They're like, if I slow down, I'm going to lose my progress. I'm going to lose, like, you know, my to-do list. I'm not going to get everything ticked off. So I just have to keep running on this treadmill. The key here is to actually pause. And that's where you leave a slight space in your day for the pattern to be interrupted. So that pause is like everything. It's everything, but it might feel like the biggest effort you've ever done to just pause and take a breath. So your pause might look like, okay, I'm going to shut down my laptop and I'm going to go outside, and no phone, no nothing. I'm just going to sit with myself. I'm going to have a conversation with me that says, hey man, how are you doing? I notice you're experiencing some self-doubt. Where's that coming from? Is it coming from when dad was at the soccer game or the football game and you felt, you felt a pressure to perform? Is that where it's coming from today? You sit with that part of yourself and you let yourself feel it all. And then you can come back out the other side saying, well, we don't need to let that story take a hold today, because remember, we're here because we love it. We're here because I'm a creator and I love to create and I love to share my passion into the world. And then you kind of let passion, joy, inspiration get back in the driver's seat. And that, again, you might get back into the office and do the exact same thing, post the exact same reel, but you have a whole different experience while posting it. And I believe that when we are in that alignment with our joy, with our inspiration, with our passion, with our true self, the results that we experience are actually far greater and they're like far juicier. I feel like this is how manifestation works, right? When you are in alignment with your true self and you're coming from this place of detachment from the result, you're not scared of failing or proving anybody. You're just doing it for the love of it. That's when the really good shit starts to happen. And you're like, oh my God, I can't believe my life it's just blowing me away. So yeah, I think that's the pattern interrupt. The other thing that you can do is, like I said, remember the part where I said, shut it down and go outside? Changing your environment is something that you can consciously do to create that external like pattern interrupt that you're talking about. So it might not need to be someone on your bikepacking journey telling you like, Blaze, zoom out. It could be that you are actually physically moving yourself out of this environment into ideally nature. Like, nature is healing, guys. Let's just remember that nature will heal everything for you. So just go outside, put your feet in the earth, I don't know, dive into the ocean, do whatever, have a bit of adventure, have a bit of fun. And that can be your pattern interrupt as well, without anybody else needing to be there. You can consciously change that environment yourself. Yeah.
I think you explained it so well, because that's exactly how I feel when I just go for a bike ride for 1 hour, 2 hours, or if I go for a hike near the mountain or just go in nature. I love nature since I traveled, for sure. And that's always the same energy when I just like get out of the office, go to nature for a walk, for a hike, even a half a day or a day. Then I come back, I have like this fresh energy. Yes. And what you said about pausing is so, so important. And hearing you explaining to me just made me realize that I usually have this fresh perspective, fresh energy, more inspiration when I do
Yeah.
that, rather than trying to force it and work and work and work. And I have
Yeah.
2 questions that come into mind when saying that. First is about this constant. Why do we feel this constant pressure of be always working? I feel our generation is a generation where we constantly feel the need to be all the time working. If I don't have this, I need to work more. So I'll let you answer that, and then I have a second question about more self-awareness.
I think it's like the really short and simple answer is because the world has told us that that's what we need to do. Like you grew up watching your parents work, and you now have this device that you hold in your hands and you flick through, and you're seeing all these entrepreneurs making 7 figures. Like you're seeing heaps of people living their dream, and you're like, I need to work really hard if I want to get there. I think that's like you're always being advertised to that what you're doing is not enough and you need to do more, be more if you want to have more. That's that like do, have, be instead of be, do, have, or whatever it is. So yeah, I feel like that really that sums it up is like we've been told a lie that we need to be more productive, do more if you want to live the life that you desire. And also same thing as what I said before with like the self-worth is attached to the result. So you're scared of slowing down because you think that's going to mean that you're not going to live your dream life or you're not going to reach your true potential. And so you like going faster and faster like the hamster, like it just can't stop, it just can't slow down. So yeah, I think there's a couple of reasons why that happens for people.
And my second question is more about self-awareness, because that's the kind of like the tip of the iceberg. It's like, okay, be more self-aware. And I say that many times. I hear this a lot also, but sometimes I'm wondering, how do I become self-aware? How do I practice self-awareness?
Yeah, good question. I feel like the best way to practice self-awareness is with a practice dedicated for self-awareness. So it's like any kind of training. If you want to run 10Ks, you're going to start out with 1K and then you're going to walk for a bit. Then you're going to build it up over time, but it's that consistency. You're putting the reps in every single day and then your muscles adapt, you become stronger. All of a sudden you can run 10K. It's the same with our mind. So we need to train our mind for self-awareness. So the buzzword of, the last couple of years has been morning routines. Like self-development world is pitching morning routines to us all the time. And I think people are grabbing onto this because they think, oh, if I do a morning routine, I'm going to become a billionaire. No, if you do a morning routine, you're going to develop self-awareness. That's what it's going to give you. I mean the type of morning routine that's like mindfulness focused. So your journaling, your meditation, maybe your yoga, your ice baths, like these sorts of things are going to help you to stop, to pause, and to check in with yourself. And it's important when you're doing that, you're actually asking the right questions. And so a question that I would encourage all of the viewers or the audience to ask yourself is, how am I feeling right now in this moment? What thoughts are in my head? Not just writing down like, today I went for a swim and then I went to work. Like you want to write down what's going on in your inner world. And that requires a bit of courage and vulnerability if you haven't done it before. But that's how you develop your self-awareness, is by actually sitting down and purposefully, deliberately putting time aside to connect with your inner world.
Yeah, I love this. And I also love the fact that you brought up the morning routine aspects from self-development, because I can relate to that. My journey with morning routines is a bit of a funny one for me. It just started with seeing somebody run at 6 in the morning, wondering why are you doing this? And then I caught myself in a thinking. I was like, okay, before to judge, go try yourself. And then I kind of like challenged myself to go for a run at 6 a.m. every morning for less than 30 days. And I enjoyed it. And then I built up and I tested different many morning routines. And I can relate to what you say about this practice of self-awareness in the morning. So for me, every time I do my morning routine, even if it changes a lot, it depends on the season I am on in life. But I feel grounded. I feel more at peace. I feel more rested. And then the whole day goes way better. And it's not about performance, about wanting to be the best or whatever. It's just like I feel better because I had this practice.
Yeah.
And I think most people believe that they need to do this to be successful or whatever. Not for me. And the second thing I want to say, and I relate to what you talked about, self-awareness, and I wanted to have your input on that, is because in March, I did a 10-day silent retreat with meditation, 10 hours per day. And it was a transformative experience as well. Because I thought the hardest part would be to be with my thoughts and feelings.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It was the pain from sitting still for 10 hours per day. So it's not straight 10 hours, and they teach us to observe our sensation without labeling them, without saying it's pain, it's good. So basically we're practicing detachment.
Yeah.
And I know you mentioned that before, and it's a really powerful tool. And I wanted to know, based on that note, what's your personal practice to be more self-aware?
Yeah, for me, the routines or rituals that I've done have evolved over time, and sometimes, to be honest with you guys, I'm not doing anything.
Same here.
Yeah. So I think it's okay. Like, it's okay for our routines to ebb and flow. But the biggest thing for me has been journaling. Like I've got 15, 20 journals that have been completed. And yeah, I'm forever journaling. And that's been the biggest consistent theme of my routines. The ideal morning routine for you, if you want to copy and paste this and take it home, is as soon as you wake up, get yourself a warm or cold beverage, not coffee, but you can have a glass of water, or for me, I have a cup of cacao, and go outside. Even if it's cold, go outside and rug up, get out there and drink your beverage, whatever it is. And while you're sitting there just drinking whatever you're drinking, just start to notice how you're feeling this morning. The sensations that you were talking about, you can start with just how my body feels. I would usually then just do a little bit of breath work and stretching, because I like to just move my body intuitively. If I want to stretch, I'll stretch. If I want to sit still, I'll sit still. And so that's kind of the first moments of your day, the first sips of your day, I call them, because you're actually sitting there sipping something. If I didn't mention it already, don't bring your phone. Leave your phone. Leave it. Put it away. Don't touch it. And then that's where I have my journaling practice. So after I've sat with myself for a little bit, I'll go and journal about anything that I'm noticing. If I'm noticing that I'm feeling a bit shit, I'll journal about that, take myself through a bit of a healing process, sit with it, do whatever I need to do. If I need to clear out some emotion, I'll clear out some emotion. And then, yeah, that's kind of it. After I feel like the journaling is complete and I feel good to start my day, that's when I'll start my day. I will say that 90% of the time, a 3-year-old interrupts that routine, and I will pause it and finish it later. So he usually wakes up halfway through, and so I'll just pause my journaling, spend time with him, and then when I start work, I'll just finish off the journaling before I get into my work day.
It's amazing. I can relate because I do some of them, But for me, the more important part of what you said here is just like to accept, to be tolerant with yourself, that sometimes you don't do it, sometimes I don't, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It's totally okay. It's just like, for me, I have a certain routines, but it changes every 2 or 3 months, and sometimes I don't do nothing, and that's fine. It's just like
Yeah.
practicing tolerance with yourself and be kind with yourself. It's not a competition about having to be doing this, then this, then this. So yeah, I appreciate you break down your morning routine, because I'm always curious to know how it is for other people. I know we don't have much more time, but I have a couple more questions that I want to ask you.
Yeah.
It's about creators online, and I'm wondering, what does it mean to heal for them when they start to step into visibility and this whole world of social media, sharing your journey, and yeah, being okay with this? How somebody want to start to share but tend to ghost themselves too much because they're afraid of what people think? How could they heal and step into who they want to be offline and online, so that they can share more authentically? I know it's a big question, but I'll let you answer how you want to tackle it.
Yeah, I think for everyone, the answer is going to be different of how to heal, because it depends on why. Like, everyone is scared of what other people are going to think, right? But it's a sliding scale. Like, we're all going to feel, if someone trolls us, comments and says like, I hate your videos or whatever, every single human that receives that comment is going to feel something in their body about it. I think it's unrealistic for us to expect that we would feel nothing. Maybe I'm wrong, right? Ask me in 10 years. Maybe I become some sort of monk that's like, I don't care what people comment. I think it's okay to care, but how you process that through your body really matters, because some people are going to take that and they're going to go, well, I'm not going to show up online anymore, or I'm going to mold myself to fit in to what other people want me to be. Other people are going to take it and they're going to allow that maybe embarrassment, maybe guilt, maybe shame, maybe like whatever the emotion is, they're going to allow it to move through their body. They will process and metabolize that emotion. And then they'll come out the other side going, I'm still going to show up as my true self. And I don't care what that person said anymore. In the moment I cared, and maybe for the next day. But then I got back and I'm back, like wheels are back in motion. So I think how you heal comes back to, where is that thing that you're feeling. So you're scared of how someone is going to think of you or perceive you. Why are you scared? Like, what are you making it mean? If someone thinks you are not good enough or they don't like your stuff, what are you making that mean? Are you making it mean that you're not good enough? Are you making it mean that you're not lovable, you're not likable, that you don't matter? Like, what is your deeper story that's underneath that fear of somebody not perceiving you in a good way? And where does that come from? Where's the original root cause of that fear? So if you think I'm not good enough, where does that come from? Where does that belief come from? Because you weren't born believing that you're not good enough. You learned it somewhere along the way. It might be inherited, from your parents. Maybe they have some self-insecurities that they've passed on to you just by growing up alongside them. Maybe someone told you in the schoolyard that you look funny and you took that on as, I'm not good enough. So wherever it came from for you, that's where we heal from the root cause. And that involves a subconscious journey where we go back and we find that past version of ourselves and we sit with them and we allow them to release that emotion that at the time they didn't really get to process fully. And that's why it's trapped in our body. So yeah, it's a whole process. We go back, we allow them to heal, and then we work on rebuilding some stronger foundations. So reprogramming the subconscious into the greatest version of me is the most authentic, and I'm not going to be for everyone, and that's okay. And I would say to any creator as well listening to this that if you like your content, that's the most important part. I watch back this is kind of funny to say, but I watch back all of my content and I fucking love it. I probably watch my content more than any of my followers, and I love what I put out. I'm like, this is great, guys. You all need to watch this because I'm like, I've hit the nail on the head here with what I've said, or I love this footage, or whatever it is. And if you're feeling like that while you're sharing, I think that is the number one priority. Like, that's almost the whole point. And any other result after that just is a bonus. Yeah. Does that answer
I
your
love to watch
question?
my. Yeah, that definitely does. I think it gives a lot of input for me and also for other creators to just like love what you create, because
Yeah.
in this topic of authenticity, sometimes people think it's being perfect. It's not. It's just like sharing
Yeah.
what you can create or want to share at the exact moment. It doesn't mean you're
Mhm.
on a high or on a low. It's just like the way you are creating, putting the
Mhm.
message at the moment you are doing it, and
Mhm.
just being okay with that and looking backwards to your old content, and
Mhm.
also like looking at the journey that you've been through. Like, for example, when I watch all my videos, I'm like, yes, it's a bit cringe, but it's fine. It made me laugh, and I'm grateful I did those videos back then, because I'm now able to create those videos today, and
Mhm.
being grateful for the journey and see the progress. And
Yeah.
we talk about a bit of the curse and uh, and the good side of things in life. Losing my dad to suicide, for example, was is exactly the
Mhm.
same feeling today. Of course, this is a painful experience, is something I don't want to live again.
Mhm.
But looking backwards, and I can say that now because it's been 15 years back,
Mhm.
but I'm grateful it happened because I became the person I am today. And I think that the
Mhm.
same message that you just said and share with us here is like, just embrace all the
Mhm.
steps, because they're what make you today. And that's exactly what happened for me with that story. And I wouldn't be the same person if I wouldn't have lived that experience, and I wouldn't have
Yeah.
traveled probably the way I did and reconnect to myself the way I did. So in some way, all this journey was a journey of reconnection, and I can definitely
Mhm.
thank my dad for that teaching, even if it's
Yeah.
not the kind of teaching we want to have. So
Mm.
yeah, I really love what you shared here.
Mm.
I know we're a bit low on time, but I have just one more question because before we conclude. So to wrap up, you transition from athlete to coach, and now you're also a mother of a 3
Yeah.
years old, from what I understand.
Yeah.
What? How do you define success for you today compared to maybe what it was before when you were an athlete? I'm curious to know.
Mm. You know, I had this conversation with my partner last night, actually, or 2 nights ago, and my answer from like that soul level, how do I define success, is am I loving what I do? And am I being who I want to be? Like, am I showing up as the person that I want to be and doing the things that I love to do? Am I being present with what is like now? Am I being present with my partner and my son? Are we having a good time together? Are we going on adventures? Like, all of those things to me are success. I look around my life and I'm like, this life that we've created is incredible. I love that my partner gets to be a stay-at-home dad. I get to work with people who are driven to become a greater version of themselves every day, and that's an amazing thing. And I have a 3-year-old who blows my mind constantly, and I love it. And so I think that is success. But there's also a part of me that is still attached to, I need to get up here. Like, I would be lying to you guys if I said I've completely healed from spending 26 years as an athlete. Um, there's still a part of me that says if you don't make it to XYZ level, then it's all been a waste. Like you haven't done a good enough job. And I'm currently in the process of like still healing that. And like I said, each time I feel that pressure, it's about pausing and checking in with myself and saying, hey, I get it. I get that fear and doubt have showed up today. Let's put them in the back seat, or let's spend some time with them. Just give them a hug and say, I get it. You're here to protect me from the fear of failure. You're here to protect me from disappointment and shame and whatever other emotions. It's okay that you're here, but we don't actually need you to be in the driver's seat. So you can get in the back seat, and we're going to let joy and passion be in the driver's seat and steer the way. And so it's that reprogramming that I'm still doing in myself to really help me redefine success. Yeah, and I'm still in the process of that. So yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful said. I think we all have our own version of like wanting to go here and having to heal. I think it's part of the journey, and I just really appreciate what you just shared here. Shannon,
Yeah.
before I ask you the last question, I want to thank you for being on the podcast with me today, to sharing your story with open hearts and transparency. It's been a great conversation to learn more about the journey from a high achiever to somebody who want to reconnect with ourselves. Definitely a journey I've been on for most of my life. So I really appreciate you sharing those insights that also helped me heal and keep doing my own work. And I'm sure the audience also will appreciate everything you shared today. Where can we find more about you online for anybody who wants to follow you more?
Yeah, I'm most present on Instagram. So it's just my name, Shannon Malseed. I'm sure that you'll type that out in the notes for people to follow along. So yeah, find me on Instagram, or you can also go to my website, which is shannonmalseed.com.
Yes, I'll put all the links in the show notes so people can find you easily online, and definitely follow Shannon. She's talking a lot about self-doubt and many other topics that is about healing and rebuilding from the inside out, and definitely a topic that I think is really important for any creators, any adventurers, any entrepreneurs who really want to feel more in peace, reconnect with who they are, and just like show up as authentic creators, human beings. So definitely go give her a follow. One more question that I haven't asked for a while, but I'm glad to ask it again. Is what does adventure mean to you?
Adventure means getting outside in nature. Like every time I hear the word adventure, I'm like, I picture myself hiking up a mountain or something. So I think that's like the image that I get, and it means following your soul, like doing what lights your soul on fire. And it's always nature for me, adventure, but it's important to also be in alignment with like, let's go and explore. Let's go and find something new. Let's go and do something new that we haven't done before, and find a part of ourselves maybe that we haven't found before. So yeah, I hope that is a good summary.
Yeah, awesome. That was Shannon Malseed. Thank you for being on the podcast, and go check her out on the links that will be on the show notes. And yeah, see you very soon. Bye.